Hi, this is Skeptic Sage. I did a video a little while ago, but it got messed up, so I'm redoing it off the top of my head. I'm responding to a video which is a response to another video. The original video was called God Does Not Exist, and a man named Pax999, P-A-C-S 999, apparently from what he looks like, I guess I should speak to you rather than about you in the third person, but you look like a Muslim gentleman, and I thought you should be able to hear the video. The last video you couldn't hear a damn thing, so I will respond to you again. In your video you made a sort of challenge. You specifically stated that you wanted to know not what the moral evidence is for the non-existence of God, such as, well, if there was a God, why is there all this, terrible stuff going on in the world and stuff like that? And you are right. Stuff like that only proves that God doesn't care about us. It wouldn't prove that he doesn't exist. Or if he does care about us and he allows all these terrible things to happen, then something weird is going on that we don't understand, but it certainly wouldn't disprove his existence. It would just be pretty good evidence that our idea of what he is might not be what we think. But you said you wanted scientific evidence to prove that God does not exist. And I think that you have a fundamental misunderstanding of the scientific method. I don't know what you do for a living, but I work somewhat associated with the scientific field. I've had to read scientific research. One thing I know about the basics of science is that you don't ever disprove things. You only do two things when you run experiments, when you go out looking for evidence. You either prove something, which means you have a lot of evidence to support it, or you can't find evidence to support it. You can't have evidence to disprove something, because the way science works, there's always the possibility that tomorrow there'll be new evidence. And there are numerous scientific theories that specifically, basically described a certain situation really well. And then when new information came in, we realized that our theory wasn't quite right and we have to revise. So science isn't about absolute truth, it's about a revised truth that always changes. So for instance, even though we all know that light exists, obviously, right? I mean, it would be absurd to say there is no such thing as light. Yet if you look at the theory in the year 1850, the theory in the year 1900, the theory in the year 1950, even if you look at the theory of light in the year 1990 and then look at the theory now, it's different. So that we've been trying to figure out, and I'm not even sure at this point from what I've read, that we really understand what light really is. We have equations which we can use that can predict what light will do, and that means we can use it for industry, we can use it to predict things, so we have good theories, but that doesn't mean we understand light completely. So we would never have a theory of light that we could ever disprove, because there could be new research tomorrow that never existed before that could show us that a certain theory in fact is correct. All we can say is that theory A is supported by evidence and theory B isn't. There is no way of disproving a theory. All you can do is notice that a theory isn't being proved, that there's a lack of evidence. An atheist isn't somebody who disproves the existence of God. An atheist is someone who notices a certain fact in the world, and that is that large numbers of people believe in God, and yet there is not one shred of evidence. In a world where there are multiple theories about everything, and where all of these theories could be true, if we had if we had some kind of policy that we would believe everything until we disproved it, we would be unable to disprove anything, and we'd believe everything, and we would have chaos. So one of the things we do in science, and one of the things we all do, if we're honest, in common sense, is we don't believe in something until we have evidence. If I told you to go to a doctor because you had a disease, and one guy said, well, I've got this evidence that this medicine has a 90% chance of curing you, the guy down the street says he's got a 100% chance to cure you with another medicine, but he's got no scientific evidence to back it up, he just says it. Most of us would go to for the 90%, not for the 100%, because we all know that 90% that's a clear 90% is a lot better than a phony baloney 100% that might be more likely to kill us. When it comes to God, something that is very interesting is that even people who believe in God, who are really honest, will admit that they have absolutely no evidence. God is something that you believe on faith. Faith is a leap. It's a decision. It's a stance that you take towards the world. I will believe this because I choose to believe this, because I believe that that choice is right. It is amazing how many theists are unwilling to admit that that is so. Somewhere along the line, when the advent of science came, about 300 years ago, theists suddenly decided that they needed to prove the existence of God, and they believe they have. They have not. Most of the evidence in quotation marks that theists have given, I would say all of it, is BS. There isn't any evidence that I've ever seen that couldn't be destroyed and ripped to shreds almost immediately. It would be interesting if someone could prove the existence of God with evidence. I'm not sure how you would do that. Something that can't be seen, something that refuses to be seen, that wants to remain invisible, that only talks to us through prophets when no one else is around. The prophet hears God by themselves, which I always think is really suspicious. I heard God tell me something, but he only talks to me when other people aren't around. Yeah, yeah, right. And the fact that this God is all-powerful, but he only talks to 1 or 2 people or 10 people over a period of time, but he doesn't talk to all of us. I mean, he could be anywhere at any time, so why not be everywhere at every time, and why not talk to all of us? Why the need for a prophet? Why do we need these idiots in between us and God? Why does God need a man, a mere man, to tell us about himself when he could tell us about it right now? I could say, God, please come down and make you and Pax 999 the new prophets. We'll work together even though we have different beliefs, and we're going to bring everybody in the world together, and you're going to give us evidence for your existence, and I will sit here on YouTube right now and I will wait for you to come down into the living room of Pax 999 and in this living room right now, and we'll wait for you to do that. Now, this is absurd, isn't it? We all know this isn't going to happen. It's a stupid trick, I realize, but it proves something. There is something very, very odd about trying to prove the existence of something that can't be seen and apparently doesn't want to be seen by definition, which makes no sense to me, because why would a real God not want to be seen? If you want to be worshipped, wouldn't it be, and you want to be followed and you want to be obeyed, wouldn't it make sense to be seen? I mean, if your parents were never seen, if they were never around, would you be likely to do what they say? That probably explains why most people don't follow most of the religions on this planet. There isn't anybody monitoring them. Humans are going to basically be humans, right? But anyway, I digress. I think the main issue here is that there is no evidence for the existence of God. It's something that people believe on faith, and I believe that they believe it because they're afraid of death and because they're afraid of life. And I believe that the belief in God generally tends to make people far more likely to accept oppression, to engage in oppression, and even to engage and accept violence and to justify violence. This is Skeptic Sage, and as always, I'd like to end by saying that extraordinary theories require extraordinary evidence, and I wish everybody peace.